let's see what happened here now. Let's go to stop. Shut it off real quick. Taking a look at the graph. Now that is better. Now taking a look at this. So I think it was because of the rich target lambda offset, because we let it cool down as it was talking. It cooled down too much. We had too rich of a lambda target, which then killed the power. Looking at this, it picked up, we're 366 horsepower. We see the orange line. A little bit better on the top end. I don't think it gained or lost power. I think we're going to probably end up keeping it at 40 degrees VTC. Now, talking about this, we're engaging our VTEC at 3,000 RPM. So let's just discuss this really quickly here. Because we said it there, we haven't really adjusted the VTEC point. It's going to need to be adjusted. So looking at this, let's jump into our VTEC fuel. So where VTEC engages, if we're playing this back right now, table 1 is inactive. We can see it turns inactive, active. It's coming in and out of VTEC right there. Right there, VTEC becomes active. Now, we go from a value here of roughly 80, 83 volumetric efficiency, and we jump to a value here when it becomes active. Yeah, about 81, 82, that's our field table VE. And we jump when VTEC comes active to about 93% or 93.5%. So it's a pretty large jump in step there. Now, typically I don't see that much of a jump going from low cam to high cam, but that doesn't mean that it won't have that much of a jump. What I can say is that the closed loop correction was adding 24% right here. And we're estimating 81% volumetric efficiency coming from our table right here. And when we transition over to the high cam, we can see that the lambda is rich because that correction was essentially correcting too much on that low cam where it was riding. What that's going to tell me is this area right here needs to be higher values. Most likely it needs to be in the 90% volumetric efficiency range, kind of what we're finding here in the table. Let me go in and correct this because that's obviously too much closed loop correction. We don't want to see it transition at roughly 20. So I'm going to highlight this range. I'm going to do shift asterisk 1.2. Oh, let's try this again here. Shift asterisk 1.2. We're going to add 20% right there. And we're going to add this to Control H horizontally interpolate up and down, and also vertically interpolate that. Just kind of blend that in. Now, when it transitions, it'll be in the 90s, and it'll transition into our VE table 2, our high cam table, at kind of a more appropriate VE transition. So again, what we should find when we're looking at the VTEC engagement points, and if everything is tuned perfectly on our lambda correction, so going from low to high cam, the lambda, the actual lambda, doesn't really change, and the correction is pretty close to 0. That means we can evaluate the 2 VE points, what it's estimating for the cylinder filling here. We should find that the field table 1, where it switches over again, it switches from roughly 80s, and then it goes into, when we switch over, it switches to 95. We should find that these are within maybe 2-3% of each other if that VTEC point is optimal. Because again, we have our low and high cam torque curves crossing, and we should find where they intersect or where they cross, that's going to be the point where VTEC is going to be at, and the torque is the same there. So the cylinder filling should be the same. So moving from low to high cam, the percentage of estimation of cylinder filling or airflow right there should be the same. So we should see that as we're kind of looking at our data here and evaluating it. Now, looking at our screen here and looking at the actual VTEC engagement, we're finding here I'm engaging at roughly 3,000, and notice it's kind of dipping when I'm engaging it there. It's actually probably too low. If we focused in and we looked at our torque curves here, the dotted lines are the low cam and the solid lines are the high cam, I would say where they're intersecting, where these two torque curves are crossing, it's probably about 3,600 if I was having to guess. It's a little bit hard to see here, but the dotted blue line, that was our last low cam pull, and then the orange line, that was our last high cam pull. These are intersecting right about 35, 36. Let's set our VTEC point there, and let's just see where this falls out in terms of our values going from our high cam table, or the low cam table to the high cam. Let's see where the VE values fall out at, and let's see what the lambda correction looks like in our feedback and everything in there. So let's just set this at 36. Let's do Control S and store that. Now, playing this back throughout the rest of the pool here, we do find that it looks like it wanted a little bit more correction on the high cam. Now up top, it doesn't look like we need to do much for the correction. There's about 3-4%. We kind of leave that alone, but in the mid-range here, where it's definitely over onto the high cam table, right here, we need to add some more fuel. It looks like it's adding here. Now we have to pay attention. The lambda 78, The actual target's 78. We're pretty close there, and it's adding a 13% correction. So right here, we want to go in and add about 13% more. I'll do Shift asterisk 1.13, enter. I'll blend this downwards here, Shift H, and I'll blend this. Actually, we'll just go up a little bit higher, just double check where it's right about here. This is 74 lambda to 78 targets, a little richer than target, and it's adding 10% right here. I'm going to highlight, I'm going to just do 1.08, just add a little less, and then we'll go here, do Shift H, we'll do a transition here. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.